good morning, good morning. Welcome to Men Hurt Too, brought to you by Coffee with T. I'm your girl T. Today we have a very special guest. I'm very excited about this. I hope you guys got a pen and a piece of paper out because we're going to keep it all the way real today. Men Hurt Too is a series I started to help us understand that men are human beings first and that men need to be treated with respect and dignity and to have the grace and mercy to heal from trauma and things that happen in their life too. So today I'm going to welcome my good friend, funny man, just excellent dude. Like every time I've seen him, every time I've met him, he's just been real cool with everybody and just makes the whole room feel welcome. So welcome, talent. Hey.
Hey, what up, bro? What's happening with you?
Everything is everything. I'm good. I'm alive.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
I wake up this morning. So thank you so much for doing this. So I've been doing this series and I've interviewed like probably 35 men already who have just came and blew me away.
Okay.
And I just wanted to have you on so you could just share your experiences as a man and what you need in life and what we need to know. Not just, I see so many relationship panels with men telling women stuff, and I wanted to know from your human side about men, because we busy like why men do this and why men are doing that to women. I have 3 sons, 25, 20, and 11, and I learned some things along the journey, and I learned that their trauma is just as serious as mine. And when I had them, as soon as the doctor said, it's a boy, I had all these expectations of them, like, don't cry, be quiet, you're okay, until I started really dealing with them. So first question I always ask my men is, what was your relationship like with your mother and your father?
Well, my mom, I'm a mama's boy. I'm actually you could call me like a woman's boy because I had raised by my mom, my aunts, my 5 sisters. So I was in tune with the female more than the male. I had to grow later into who I was and what being a man really was and what it meant. So that was the relationship on my mom's side. My dad was around sporadically. I mean, he wasn't far away where I couldn't see him, but he didn't live with us. And also he died early on. I think I was maybe 12 or something when my pops died. You know what I mean? So that bond was way different than the bond with mom and the females that kind of ran our, hierarchy in the family.
Wow. So where did you get your definition of what a man is supposed to look like?
Later on in life, as I got late in adolescence, like a late teen going into my early 20s, there were people around me, whether it was in the community, things that I was involved with, who actually were real dope role models and actually cared about, the young brothers, young dudes coming behind them. And you would pick up these things, whether they meant to give you the jewel. See, that's the thing I think about people who tend to be a role model to you as opposed to your parents. I think our parents, because they know it's their job, as parents, we always go, listen, this, none of that. Like we do it like a teacher. But people who are inadvertently being role models in your life, I think they do it by gestures more so in showing and kind of reiterating, hoping that you gravitate and catch it. You know what I mean? But they're gonna put it out there for you. I'm gonna keep putting you in the line of good fire, so to speak, and you got to get burnt at some point. You know what I mean? So there were guys like that. Whether it was in the boys' club that I played in a lot of basketball, whether it was in my project community in Mount Vernon, and those playgrounds and hanging around there, that wouldn't let the young brothers. They were breaking that cycle. We know now. We didn't know at that time.
Right.
We actually was mad at them. We can't come over there. No, get out of here. Get out of here. So at that time, you're mad. But in hindsight, when you look at it later down the line, you're like, you know what? They were stopping us from doing what they knew would lead to where they were. Because believe it or not, a role model could be a guy that really messed his whole life up and don't have it together. And he understands that and figures that, well, at least I could do this.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I didn't do what I wanted to do, but I'm gonna push 10 dudes to do what they do. So these 10 black young men are gonna be something, and I'm gonna feel good because I didn't do it for me, I did it for somebody else, which is the meaning of life at the end of the day.
Yeah. Wow. That was good. That was good. You know, I interviewed Do It All about probably 4 or 5 months ago. And he also talked about the dudes on the street, how he admired their hustle. Not that he was admiring that they sold drugs. He admired their ambition and where it got them. And they stirred him in a better direction to use his ambition to do something legally. But the system just wasn't designed for them back then. So that's so good that.
I mean, yeah, he was able to look past the obvious.
Right.
You know, and even in all hoods, one thing I know from traveling the world, all hoods are similar in the way that we have to respect the drug dealer, because the street hustler, even though they were technically illegal as far as the laws go in this country, they had a code, man, and they respected stuff. Like, you got dudes right now on the street, they're not necessarily hustling, they're just street dwellers, and they have no respect and no code.
Right.
Here these guys are, you know, how many times have we seen the drug dealer that won't sell to grandma, that won't sell to your auntie, that won't sell to the kids? You know, understand what that takes. I'm out here, if I'm such an animal, I'm out here doing this illegal thing. If I'm such an animal, what the hell do I care about if the kid's smoking? I'm making money. What do I care about if your grandmother get beat up or smoking it? I'm making money.
Right.
But they had that code. So you have to admire. And that's the funny thing about that is, that's why all the entertainers and superstars of our persuasion, in some form or fashion, never totally disconnects from those guys.
Right. Ooh, that's good.
We in some form of fashion are all connected because of our history and our upbringing. We never fully disconnect from them. We may say, hey man, I can't be around there because blah, 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 in case you get in trouble and I'm next to you, guilty by association. We may say that and do that, but we don't fully disconnect from our connection from that. You know, we derive from that, so there's always a connection in there. Whether that's me leaving 2 tickets at the box office for Rah-Rah,
right,
you know, the head drug dealer, or, you know, sending a It's Just Comedy shirt or hoodie to, you know, Bam Bam,
right,
in Attica. You know what I mean? Like, our connection is real.
Right, and like, we always gotta stop trying to see the bad in people and understand. Like, I know street guys that have done a lot of stuff for kids in the hood who come out, give out sneakers, come out, give out money, give out snacks, and they're not selling drugs to the kids. They're saying, you're not doing this. We don't point that out, though, because we go by what the media says. We don't know that, because we've all had them in our family talent, our uncles, our cousins. We know they're good dudes, but their environment created something that wasn't good for them. So,
but you know what's funny? You know what's a good analogy, comparison? So now with the pandemic, you know, the government, call themselves doing what they can, stepping in, stimulus checks, look, food banks, we got the food. Ain't that the equivalent of the drug deal on Thanksgiving? Pull up with the truck of turkeys and feed the hood. and it wasn't what they call a pandemic. It was just our situation, what we were in.
Now, come on. We've been in a pandemic. Come on. We've been not have food in our communities. We're not talking about that, though, right now, because now it's affecting other people. But we've been eating turkeys on Thanksgiving. We've been not having rent money. So that little $1,200 one stimulus check from March to October, I don't know what you're talking about. The brothers on the block is coming out there with trucks and book bags and all kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about that. So, you know, our topic today is, do men hide behind their career? What made you become a comedian?
It's a calling. It's definitely a calling. It wasn't even like a choice. The only thing that calibrated in a line to make it a perfect storm to actually jump in was timing of everything, the history of comedy. But as a little kid, I was called to it, and I knew I would do it, and I would start to watch it, listen to it, study it. But the only thing as a kid that, you know, you're ignorant to a lot of stuff. So as a child, I thought it was a hobby for people. I didn't know it was a career. So I would say to myself, at this certain point in my life, I'm going to get into this hobby. I'm going to do this thing. And then the perfect storm happened, which the urban side of comedy took over slowly but surely. There was this metamorphosis. And the big catalyst in that is called Def Comedy Jam.
Right.
So when Def Comedy Jam came, it helped warp comedy and it forced the comedy game that was already there to acknowledge these colored funny people.
Right.
And give them, shine light on them predominantly. So what happened there is it changed the landscape, because a lot of people don't know Def Jam, because we're Americans, we think Def Comedy Jam was just that hot show here in America in the 90s. Def Comedy Jam became the #1 show in the world.
Woo.
Because it wasn't regular TV as we know it, network TV. It was HBO. HBO was international. So it became this #1 show in the world. It changed the whole landscape of comedy. It made everybody and their mother wanted to see, who are these black funny comedians? We want them, right? So at the time, you got to realize the comedy world wasn't ready for that change. It happened like that. So they were still in the zone of one black guy at a time.
Mm.
So yeah, it was bad. It was like if you was a black comic and you went to the show and you beat me to the club 5 minutes, I get there. Can I get on stage? And like, we already got the black person.
Wow.
So it was like that. So when Def Jam happened, the world wasn't ready for it. So what happened? Again, go back to what we was talking about, the black man hustle. Black dudes said, you know what? Well, we don't need these comedy clubs. I'm gonna do comedy night at JoJo's restaurant. I'm gonna do comedy night at Sam's Bar and Rest and Grill. So all of that popped up over the country, which it affected the comedy club's revenue. So half the comedy clubs in the country shut down. They couldn't make no money. The ones who survived that we still go to today got smart and said, we gotta do this black thing.
Right.
We gotta bring these brothers and sisters in. And they brought them in. They started with like Black Night here, Black Night there. And then once they really realized the viable, equity in this thing, they started to bring the headliners in with full weekends. And then next thing you know, we're in the rotation. Now, to me, depending on what city you in, a comedy club may be all black.
Yes. Right. Because we funny.
But yeah, because see, people got to catch up with us, man. You know, the problem is the rest of the world just has to catch up with us. It's not about black comedy. It's comedy. We may happen to be the best at the shit, but you have to catch up and just put everything under the umbrella of what it is. It's not called black basketball. It's the NBA. It's the National Basketball Association. Now, we all know predominantly the black dude is the face of the NBA, but we don't call it we don't call it the BBA.
Right.
We don't call it the NBA. It's just the NBA. And this is what my whole point is with things. That, there's no such thing as black comedy. There's black people that could do comedy. That's funny. You know what I mean? But they had to catch up. They're still catching up. You know what I mean? So
no pun intended. It's just comedy.
Right. It's just, don't take it personal at all. So it's like, that's how I got into it. That perfect storm happened in 89, 90, going into the 90s. And I started to, I'm still not aware. I'm still thinking hobby, right? So I jump into it, playing around, and I'm enjoying myself. And once I did it, I felt the connection of, answering your calling. You knew it was a calling. Really, as a kid, I was back and forth. Is this a calling? I feel like I should do it. I was gravitating, but then it was confirmed. So I'm having fun. And then one night a guy paid me. I wasn't what I would call a professional yet. I was like still new. And the guy said, man, thanks, man. And gave me $15. Oh, why'd he do that?
That was it.
That $15, listen, man. No looking back. I'm in. 9 months doing it, quit my job, jumped all the way in. My job, I was making just under 50 grand a year. And I quit. And my first full year comedy, I made $84,000.
Wow. Whoa.
I knew it was right.
Wow. Leap. $15 led to your whole life. Wow.
Changed everything.
So when you were a kid, when you decided to go professional with this, when we growing up, we know our parents be like, that ain't no job. You better go and get you some job applications and you better do this and that. Were you encouraged by your mom or in your family, or did they say, yeah, you real funny, but go get a job?
No, you know what's funny about my family? My family, and it took me years to look back on this and go, wait a minute. Because when you're focused as I get on something, I get those horse blinders. Right. You know what I mean? Screw you, prize, bag, or whatever. So I get like that. So it took a few years later to look back and go, you know what? I owe my family mad props, because it's not that they said, go do it, whatever the case may be. But what was more important is no one said, don't do it or you can't do it.
Yes.
They just filled the gaps where I needed them to, whether that was watching my kids and all this stuff, or, taking, making sure my baby mother was cool at the time when I'm gone, and, or, holding down the house, or watching my dogs, or whatever it was. There was never, and I got a big ass family, there was never one person that ever said, yo, T, man, you shouldn't do that, man. Because my first son was on the way. When I quit my job, he was going to be born in the next 4 months. So I really thought about, it was a calculated risk, but if it doesn't go right, it will forever be a stupid risk, but It wasn't. But again, my family, never, nobody, not from Ma Duke's grandma down to the little cousins, nieces, nephews, uncle, nobody ever said, yo, nobody ever doubted it. Let me say that. Right. Nobody ever put any wrench in the spokes, any salt in the game, like nothing, not an iota. So years later, I was playing it back, and it's just like this in the interview, and I said, wait a minute. My family was dope. Right. Like during the time that I did this, my family was dope. That's why in my family, we've always stayed connected. Like, we don't play that.
Right.
We don't play that. Like, I'm not way over here. Like, matter of fact, I'm in North Carolina now. Family drove over from 2 hours down the road to come hang and have a good time and for the show last night. So when I get up and get off with you, I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna take this day, because I feel extra now. So I'm gonna take a 2-hour ride that way, see them, and spend the day, say what up, and then before I hit the road and head back up. But all that matters.
It does. That's good. And I want the families to hear this for every person that's going outside of the box. First, I want the people that's going outside of the box to believe in yourself, because $15 has turned into a thriving career. I watch your career. Like, you have longevity. Like, I've been saying it's just comedy for a few years, and it's just been a joy to watch you. But I want all the families that are listening right now, it's not about you encouraging if you don't believe. Talent just says something that's so important. It's about you not discouraging. And our parents taught us that if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So yes. I love your family. This is a question I want to ask, even though you might not have an answer to it. If you weren't a comedian, what would you be?
That's funny, because I probably would be a veterinarian.
Really?
I love animals. I'm one of those people that my spiritual connection tells me that that's part of our existence. No matter what we do to make a living or whatever, I think we're all challenged and taxed with taking care of other life.
Right.
Like, and for some people, that's their kids. I get it. You know what I mean? But then there's a lot of us who either, we're in that place in life where the kids are gone, whether college or they're grown or whatever. And you have all these lives. When you look at cats and dogs and these pets, it's like, I think that's one of our things, that purpose in life is to take care of another life.
Right.
Because those are lives. So I've always felt like that from a little boy. And I never was able to shake it. It's crazy, because I've always had like cats and dogs, right? And then there's this period, 30 years almost, that no pets. And then all of a sudden, not only do I jump back in and get a pet once I get stability in my life, I get a pet, but I got 5 dogs.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. It was crazy. It went from 2 puppies to adopted that 3rd one. And then we were finding homes for 2 litters, and I kept a little girl. She gravitated towards me. So now I got 4. And then somebody at my job at the radio station, mom they were gonna put down this dog because couldn't stand the place, and give me that dog. Now I got 5 dogs.
Wow.
I mean, I had the room. I'm not complaining, but it was an interesting place to go. And just a couple, years ago, you was like nil for a long time. Right. So now, we're talking 12 years ago. So those dogs have moved on, transcended, most of them anyway. And so it's 1 out of 5 left, right? I get 2 more puppies. And then they have a puppy. And then a friend of mine, when my dogs passed, he was a very good friend. He felt, the pain. and he brought me a dog. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, so I was back to 5, you know?
I love it because it takes a compassionate spirit to have pets. I don't have pets because I still have an 11-year-old who's on.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I understand that.
So I'm like, I need nothing else that I gotta feed or walk. So I'm gonna keep this little boy until he grown, and when he leave, I don't think I want to feed or do nothing with nobody or nothing else. But what do you do? Who makes the comedian laugh? What do you do when you stressed out?
Oh, other comedians.
Oh.
Because I'm a fan of it. Like, I don't just do it. That's the thing. That's what I mean. Like, it's not your traditional job where, you know, you clock in and you clock out. You hardly ever clock out because you understand more than anyone how potent and important laughter is, right? And humor. So what I will do is, whether that's going to the movies to see a comedy, well, nowadays with so many channels, so much network stuff and streaming, you cannot say you can't find something to laugh at on TV. You know what I mean? So whether it's that or my preference is the same way people come watch me, I would love to be in a comedy club with my beer in the back, my drink, and listen, because I have comics that sometimes inadvertently make me laugh, and then I got guys that I call like favorites that I know are gonna make me laugh. Right. Like, I got comics that I know, I see them on the show. If I'm not doing anything and I'm not far, I can go to that show. I'm going to crash that show, sit in the back, say what's up. And half the time I'll say what's up after the fact because I don't want, what I had to learn is because I'm so not on my own tip, I don't know sometimes I will be kind of oblivious to the impact my appearance makes with people sometimes.
Right.
And I know how it is being thrown off, so I don't want to throw anybody off. I know that's awkward and uncomfortable. So what I'll do is I may go sit in the back and enjoy the show and then come say good what's up to my friend who's a comic or whatever. But if I do it before time, sometimes I forgot I was somewhere and I threw a good friend of mine so off on his first night at the weekend at the Comedy Club, and I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Oh, right.
And he was saying it on stage, and you start feeling bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Talent's in here, and I'm like, that's not why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, but that's my first option. Like, I will all day, every day, go to a show, or sometimes I'm on a show, and I'll sit there. I always watch the show, even if I'm on it. But sometimes, until it gets to me, I'm like last night. Last night, the way it was set up, we're all sitting like on this VIP was the stage. So we're sitting there. So the 4 people, 1, 2, 3, 4 before me, I'm sitting through their stuff. And the funny thing is, I love it when everybody's funny. So I don't have to fake it. I don't have to look like, because people will look at me and be like, oh, he's not laughing, So it was great. And then the next thing you know, guy number 5 is me. You bring me up, we close it home. Great show. Everybody, let's party. So that's my thing. That's what makes me laugh. Simple stuff in life.
Right.
And like bowling. Like I said, the movies, I'll go to the movies by myself. I love that. But you know what's crazy is since the pandemic, like in my house, because I'm around people all the time, my downtime is to not be around people. So when the pandemic hit, like I've been at my house 25 years, I haven't had one cookout, one barbecue, right, in 25 years. Pandemic hits. They shut everything down and keep you away from people. Now you start to realize, because nobody ever did this to you before. So now you realize people need people.
Yeah.
So I done had 25 barbecues this summer alone. Yo, it's the funniest thing. Like, everybody who know, they like, yo, and the funny thing is, my close friends who, drink with me, we do this thing called driveway drinking. So it's real impromptu. We'll just look at the weather. Hey, it's a nice day. We pull the chairs up, the tables, music, and we'll sit in the driveway, just kick it like you would go to an after-work bar or whatever. Oh. So we've become accustomed to this thing since June. So like I said, 25 cookouts in my yard to make up for 25 years. But people need people.
We do. And I'm telling you, laughter heals the soul, because I was just at one of your shows in Jersey, and that made my day because, like you said, we've been cooped up in the house, and it's horrible. And just to see live comedy is just a healing to the soul. And so many of us are depressed and trapped in the house and all these other crazy things. So what are men taught to hide their pain?
I don't even think they're taught. I think it's a natural mechanism. I think the natural way of things is you have male and female of every species. Right. And I think the natural way of it is to be the protector, to be the provider, because it's no seminar with the parents that says you have to be tough and you have to provide. It's a natural built-in mechanism. And if you don't believe me, take a lesbian, for instance.
Right.
When you look at lesbians, the one that's like the dude, they call it dyke or the stud or whatever, she emulates that same thing.
Right.
And nobody's taught her that.
Right.
She just knows that she wants to be the male of the relationship or the stud, so she moves accordingly.
Right.
And in our DNA, it's just like a gay dude, the other vice versa. They move flamboyant and as female as they think they can. They emulate that because of what they see. You know, to them, this is what a woman is. To the stud, this is what a guy is.
Right.
The same thing for us. As we're born into this flesh and this gender, we just fall into this role. And we feel in our inner self certain things like, I got to take care of my family. I got to be a provider. I got to protect. Boom, boom. Like, and in that comes something small. Like, I go to a funeral for my family, and like I said, my family, a lot more women than men. So the guys will just internally, automatically, instinctively feel like these women are gonna cry like crazy today. I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna hold them,
right?
Because they're gonna cry,
right?
You know what I mean? So that comes from that. I already know that you're gonna cry, and you're gonna need somebody to hold on to. So as a man, I don't think it looks right for me to hold you and we both crying. How this is a man thought. Like, how am I protecting her?
Right.
It's like if the guy busts in the apartment, we both can't be crawled behind the bed like this. It's like the police come and look around the corner and y'all both down there. He's like,
"What is you doing?"
Let me guess. You was protecting. But it's an instinct, you know what I mean? So I don't think it's taught. I think it's an instinct. It's like woman intuition.
Right.
You don't practice it. Nobody taught it to you. You're not looking to do it. It just happens when it happens. Like, it's built in your DNA. So you'll be like your son. You got boys. Your son will be like, "Yeah, mom, we going blah blah blah," and you'll just be like, "That Negro ain't going over there. They up to something." Like, nobody told you they was up to something. Your intuition just said something ain't right. So that's the way that's built into your DNA. The protector, the provider, the toughness, all that is built into our DNA. That's why people say that they think they were born different when they're missing one or two of those traits.
Right. Oh, so men like to fix stuff, right? So we both have a son on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum. For those that don't know about autism is, a lot of people think it's like mental retardation, but it's really not. It's a learning. Our children on the spectrum, I want to put this in layman's terms so people don't need all of this. Our children learn differently. My son is nonverbal. He doesn't talk yet. He's 11 years old. He's never spoken a word. Okay. But he communicates body language. I know what he wants. He know how to communicate. So how does that, and for me, I'm a mother, so my maternal instinct just kicked in, nurturer. I got to do this. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But I know a lot of men who expect something from a boy, and most of the children on the spectrum are boys. So men, you go to the barbershop, you give daps, you play baseball, you expect your son to be in the NFL, NBA, a lot of men, not all men. What happens when you get that diagnosis of a son being on the spectrum? Because I know how that feels as a woman, and like we just talked about, protector, provider, fixer. How do you process that when this is something that you just can't fix? It is what it is.
Well, the reality of it is, in my situation, we got to go back 20. My son's 26 now, so I have to go back to like 21 years. He was about 22 years, 4 or 5, in that range, because the first thing you have to do is you can protect and you can change it, but that comes with education. Again, back then, if I go back 20 years, you think half the people are still ignorant now.
Right.
Imagine go back 2 decades. So we were super duper ignorant to, like, you know how black folks are, you know, something wrong with him. He's slow, chill. That's just man, or whatever. Like, we shrugged so much under the rug and had so little information of what that even was. So I think it took 4 or 5 years, because the first thing you do is you assume, okay, they're just quiet or whatever. Then the next thing you do is you put it on whatever school or pre-K they're in, like, well, they're just not adjusting to pre-K, or they don't know how to deal with my child, or whatever the case may be. So at the age of 4 or 5, when you actually go into some medical terms and you're talking to medical professionals and they say, listen, your son's on the spectrum, or first thing you're doing, you really like you retarded. You sitting there like this, like you don't know what's going on, because you're just not privy to stuff. So the first thing you got to do, they'll tell you, they'll give you all these booklets, information, look it up, you do your own research. Now, the first thing in my case is, I guess I'm kind of the other side of the spectrum is you and your son, because my son never had a problem verbalizing. And I think when these kids are on that side of the spectrum, it goes unnoticed a little longer, because you know what I mean? Because you're seeing some, what we call these normality traits that, oh, ain't nothing wrong. He's just acting out because he can speak, because he can run and play with the kids. You're not seeing it yet. But when it comes to the thing, the first thing I got to do is I got to read up and figure out what this is. And then I think I got it, right? And then for certain little things, I guess, for him to learn and calm down at times, they start prescribing meds. Now, me, I'm an anti-med dude.
Right.
It really take a lot for me to pop a Tylenol.
Yes.
I've always been like that. Like, I used to be young and fight through headaches. Like, I just don't, because you're giving me this thing, I don't know what it is. I don't trust it. Like, you're telling me what it is, but it could be something else. I've always felt like, so now when the meds come into play, now I go deeper into the thing. And the fact that I can communicate with my son helped me a lot. Because if I couldn't, you know, like, I don't know what I would do. If I'm in your position and my son was nonverbal and didn't talk to me, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'll be honest. But because I can talk to him and he understood me and I understood him, I was good. So I was able to see how the meds were affecting him, for good, for bad, or indifferent. Like, either way, I was able to see that and differentiate what was going on. So I just did, for me, it was just research, learning. And then as he was growing, I don't want to say seemed like he growing out of it, because you don't grow out of it. It's just like he was getting more and more. Right. So the outside life after school was still working with him. And I was very appreciative of that. Like, the outside life, like regular, just dealing with society. Like, my son's married right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So yeah, just outside life, he does his damn thing. You know,
excited as an autism mom, like,
yeah, you know. So I mean, sky's the limit, and just the fact that he can move to another state, get married, live there, come back to this state, like, he's doing what normal people do. And when you talk to him, you know, like, to me, the only thing you would know about my son to know that he's on the spectrum nowadays is the extra honesty, you know, because they're forever kid brain. So,
my goodness, the extra honesty talent. My 20-year-old. He's on the spectrum too, like your son on the higher end.
Right.
He say something to me, and I'm getting smart. He's like, I'm not getting smart. You asked me a question, and I always got to remember, like, he's not getting smart.
Right. I would say stuff. It's crazy because they're just extra honest. You know what I mean? Like, I remember having an argument with my son, and we got an argument because it was very deep. My mom had passed. And my son he was living in Charlotte, right down here where I'm at now. So my sister and her kids and their kids, we got a lot of family in Charlotte. So I'm always on him, like, did you speak to your aunt? Did you see your family? And you would think that, for me, it makes sense. I'm in New York, you're in North Carolina, it might take a while. That makes sense. The same city, that don't make sense to me. That's not how we grew up. So we would constantly battle about that, right? So one day, I hadn't spoken to him in maybe 2-3 weeks, and my mom passes, right? So we're going through that. We're trying to, we're getting everything together to bury my mom and everything. And he calls out of nowhere in such a happy place. He's just happy, hey, Dad, blah, blah, blah. And then he's talking and talking. And I can't match his happiness, because where we are right now, we're trying to planning the funeral, right? So now I'm mad. So I'm like, so he's happy and I'm not. And I'm like, are you really, this is what you want to talk about right now? And he was like, what? What's up? I said, how many times have I asked you to reach out to your aunt and your family, you know, just to stay up on abreast on things? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get to it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? I said, we're in the middle of burying your grandmother. He's like, oh, I didn't know. I said, of course you didn't know. Because you didn't stay in touch with the people you're supposed to. So, you know, we get into this whole blow up and boom, I bang the phone. But I missed that, by the way. You can't even bang the phone no more. You know, these phones. I missed the old phone where you bang it so they can hear it and feel it. They can't no more. So anyway, he's like, you know, he's mad that I'm mad. So again, his honesty, extra honesty kicks in. So I'm saying stuff, mean stuff. He's saying mean stuff. I'm sitting back like, this dude is matching my mean. Like, he's supposed to crumble. I'm saying stuff. He's supposed to crumble. He's not crumbling because he's just on this regular, honest path. And it's like, you said it, I said it, you know, and I'm like, so we, you know, eventually had to just make up. He apologized, I apologized. We're in a good place. But their extra honesty as he's getting older, it's very astonishing to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's very impressive, you know.
They live better than us. Like, people don't understand that autism is a happy place because they don't get, they may get it, they just don't let it bother them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they don't have the capabilities to have the level of anxiety.
Right. Grandma died. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
He was like, oh man, you know, and you know, like, even when I said mean stuff, I'm like, you're dead to me. Don't call me no more. He was like, all right, well, you're dead to me too. and then 2 months later, he'll call, go, hey, Dad, am I still dead to you? I'm like, no, you're alive.
I
can't keep you dead.
So what do you guys like, and just talking about that, of having a child on the spectrum and the different things, because people have so much compassion for mothers who have children on the spectrum, and they're like, oh, you have a child on the autism spectrum, oh, you know, how can I help you? Or you go, what can we do for Black men? And this podcast is about Black men. Like, this is Men Hurt Too, Black Men Need to Heal.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I love Black men. Like I said, I got 3 of them. I gave birth to 3 Black men, if you could believe that. What can we do? And I always ask this question so that I can be supportive to my sons, because I have a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old, 11. I've never had a 26-year-old. I'm gonna have a 35-year-old. I've never had this before. So what is it that we can do as a society, period, and as Black women to support Black men? Because we there's love languages, right? So if I like gifts, I'll probably more than likely give you gifts. And you like,
right.
I don't like gifts. So I don't feel good because you gave me, you know what I'm saying? You gave me a laptop. Like, so what? That doesn't do anything for me. So we genuinely, as people, give people what we want. What can we as women in a society do to support the Black man?
Well, first of all, I'll take a laptop. I'd take it. Second, but really, you know what I think we can do? I think that we have to, let me see how to word this the proper way. It's so much tricks and gimmicks to us supporting us and sharing our love. We get caught up in tricks and gimmicks and sayings and phrases and all this stuff, which really become in turn divisive instead of being there for each other. And perfect example is the one that's going around right now is, oh, we gotta support the Black woman. She's the most endangered and blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not saying this to diminish that or minute that plot and then that ploy of thinking. But what I do know is that anything Black is pretty much treated on the same level. The Black man is not in more strife than her. She's not more strife than her. We're in strife as a people. Yeah. And I think that when we do that, we kind of, believe it or not, subconsciously create a divide between our own. You know, I don't want my sisters out there saying, I'm more endangered than you. And I don't want my brothers out there looking at them saying, y'all ain't got it like we got. We all share the same plight. You have this right here. You have this skin color to this other person. Yeah, a Black man may be a little more threatening at times to people. They may take it that way. But when it comes to opportunity, when it comes to advancement, economic equality, police brutality, if you haven't learned in the last year, of all the police brutality and excessive force, they don't care if you're a man or a woman.
Right.
If I come full force and want you to comply and get your black ass on the ground and beat you in the head, I'm beating the woman in the head. I'm beating the dude in the head. I'm busting in, I'm shooting the black man. I'm shooting the black woman. It don't matter. The only thing that we must take notice of that gets that extra little oomph, and we all recognize that, is the mother of birth. You know what I mean? So yes, a sister keeps us going. They keep the next generation of blacks going. Together we do that, and they raised them. You know what I mean? And you gotta give each side credit, because we could have imploded or exploded a long time ago.
Right.
When you take the black man out of the household and I'm just going to use one example of jail, incarceration.
Yes.
And he goes to do a bid and he left kids behind with his queen and his wife or fiance or baby mother. She's now tasked with something that she wasn't prepared for. But you know what she did? She take her wits, she take what she know men to be and how they did it, and she made this fusion of an upbringing and handled that, whether it was 5-year bid, 10-year bid, 20-year bid. She did that. So hats off to that. That's a superhero right there. And another superhero is this guy that when he come out and go home, he could have gave up on black people too. He could have said, you know what, this is why I was in jail, black people ain't shit and blah, 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 and I'm going outside my race, or I'm not dealing with my race anymore. You have these two people that fought these two plights and got to the other side of it. It's like with the pandemic. How are you going to come out the other side, black people? Are you going to come out better than the way you got, because we all got caught with our pants down. Right. I'm not saying some people ain't better off than others, but still, anything this drastic that you wasn't expecting, you caught with your pants down. You was in the bathroom, in the urinal, or in the little toilet section, and boom, somebody swung that door open. God knows how you was when it happened. You know what I mean? Pants down at the ankle. You don't know. I don't know. You know, but the point is, that's the whole point. Everybody's case is different, and we don't know. But what we do know is, if we survive this and come on the other side, we should have done something or learned something or set ourselves up for something to come out better on the other end. So to the long or the short of that is, all we can do is the same thing for black men as for women. Yeah, you might have, like you said, you might like certain things and to show your affection, and the other person may not like that. That's okay. That's a conversation. Right. That's nothing. That's like, oh, you know, I don't really like computers. Oh, okay. What do you like? Right. Well, I was looking at these sneakers. There you go. Thank you. You saved me $1,000. Take these sneakers.
I'll get you the sneakers. Yes. Communication is key. Communication is key to everything that we're dealing with as black men and women. So our time is winding down. So I'm gonna give you some words.
Damn.
Tell me what comes to mind, or what that word actually means to you, or what it means to you. Woman.
Woman?
Yes.
Birth, eternity. I think without the woman, time stops. The woman, by continuing to birth and keep the race going, you keep time going.
Wow.
There is no time without people. So, and this is what I've been trying to tell people. I have this argument every week during this pandemic, whether it's sports, should the kids play, or should they go to school, all that. I keep telling people, because everybody's answer is money or the economy. And my thing is like, what does it matter if you're dead?
I know that's right. I've been telling people that too, because my brother passed away July 26th from a tragic motorcycle accident at 51 years old. He's 1 year older than me. And it just shifted me to, don't none of this matter except the memories that we make and being happy every day. So the next is ghosting.
Is what?
Ghosting.
Ghosting. You know, I'm so slow with that. Like, when I think of ghosting, it's like, it's funny that they came up with a word for it.
Right.
But I think it's rude. And I think it's cowardly. You know what I mean? Again, we go back to respecting one another.
Yes.
So if there's something wrong and I don't want to continue, I don't know, whether it's on a date or somewhere out, meeting, whatever, we're adults. That's a conversation.
Yes.
You're a child. If you just run your child, that's what children do. They just run away from stuff. You know, a stranger in the street. Hey, you want a candy bar? They run.
Right.
You know, you're a grown person dealing with another grown person, hopefully, and you just say, "Hey, ain't working. I gotta
go." Thank you. Respect.
Probably the top three things you need to succeed at anything, and I think that right up there with money and success, that's really the hitting word we're all looking for. Right. I know I do. I know that I could never, like, let's just say Richard Pryor was still alive, and my goal was to work with Richard Pryor. Right. And I never get that. But Richard emails me or get on a text or a phone call, or we run into each other in the comedy club, and he just applauds my work. Man, I got his respect. I'm good. That's like, that's the equivalent to want to work with him or to make the $1 million with him, or I got it. The fact that you not only just know who I am, you know I'm a beast at this, and you love my work, respect.
Wow. And the last
his respect is everything.
I love that. The last word I'm gonna give is loyalty.
Loyalty, glue. Without loyalty, whatever it is falls apart.
Woo!
Oh, loyalty is the glue of life. Yeah, loyalty, glue of life. If you don't have loyalty, it just falls apart. So it's like everything that has toppled, everything that has been brought down, dismantled, you can find disloyalty in there, and that's the root. That's why even the Trojan horse, you can go back to the Trojan horse. I'm acting like I'm on this, but I'm disloyal and tricking you with this. So people usually do it, when we talk about people usually do it with an inside man or somebody close to you who act like they're for you and part of your team, they really envy you or jealous of you and want to see you fail. So they do something to help that mosey that along. This person you thought was loyal to you, they was not loyal to you. Loyalty is the glue. You know, when I go down, when I'm feeling a certain way that's not positive, or I'm doing something that's not positive or beneficial to somebody else, I look at the people around me. Who's still around me? Because it's not a great moment. Who's still here?
Yes.
Wow. You guys are still here, and this is a bad moment.
Wow.
When you're having a great moment, oh, everybody's around. But when it's not the great moment, when it's the opposite, the police are at the house, it's a car accident, like you said, you know, who's there now? Oh, this is my crew.
Right.
Not the 100 people from the show. When we was having the show at the Garden, those 100 people wasn't the crew. It's these three. That's my glue.
Yes.
I can keep going.
Oh, I love it. So I want you to just give a last word as far as men are concerned. What should the world know about Black men?
I think that and I think that the world, and I call it the others. Anybody that's not Black needs to hear this. What people need to know is ignorance can be bliss, and that's not a good thing. Ignorance should not be bliss. But I think the ignorance of equality, the reason we're in the fight in the climate right now, and it's such a struggle to get people to understand right now, is because people are ignorant to what equality is.
Right.
I think when you have a group of people that's fighting for equality, the other group looks at it like, to give them what they need, I have to give up some of what I got. That's not what equality is. They just want the same thing. They don't want more. They don't want to take away from you. That's not what equality is. Equality is just equal. That's where it comes from, the word equal. You got 50 and I got 10.
Right.
You know what I mean? I should have 50 and you should have 50. Not that you're going to take 30 of your 50 and give me no, that's not what we want. We want equality. And the minute people understand that, I think the fear dissipates. You know, it's less and less fear and animosity and struggle, fighting it, because half the people don't even know why they fight. There's 3 people in this world right now, in this climate, when you see stuff like Black Lives Matter and defund the police and police brutality, there's 3 type of people. There's people, the first person that gets it right away, that's usually us wearing this color. The second person may not get it right away, but that's okay, because when you look at math class, some people need a tutor.
Yes.
But just the fact that you're open to understanding, I'm good with that. It's person number 3 that's the problem in society today. Person number 3 is the person who do not want to get it, because that fear that I just talked about. They don't want to hear that shit, because equality, nah, then I got to get up off of it. Next thing you want to know, next thing you want to raise, next thing you want to be the supervisor, be the manager. Yes, don't you? Why is it a problem that I want these things? Because they're the same things you want. That would make us equal.
Right, that's the
You don't want his kid to go to a good school. Yes, don't you?
Right.
Why is it wrong? Why is equality wrong? And it goes back to the age-old thing, a fact. The fact is this. People always say the system's broken. No, the system is not broken. This system is doing exactly what it's designed to do. That's why we have to change the system.
That was so good. I love me some talent. I don't know about y'all, but I love, listen, keep doing what you're doing because you're so good at it. Yeah. It's like when you have a gift, like to just be able to, even, I know you could just go in right now. I really do, but we're going to do that another time. Just to watch it work. You know what I'm saying? Because, you go, some comedians, they bomb. Just right. A little bit. Because, if it's your gift, you don't even got to come up there with jokes. Like at the last event you did, right. You had nothing written. You just looked around the room and said, oh, okay, there's something. Right. That's when you know it's your gift, because I can't do that. I'm going to do some stand-up comedy one day. That's one of my bucket lists.
I can't wait.
To get up one day, but I had to pull it back because all my jokes was dirty, and I've grown in Christ.
But listen, humor, see, the thing is, humor is humor. You don't have to worry about what kind of joke it is. Like, you just do them accordingly. You do them, like, say you're a mom, and I don't want my kids to hear these dirty jokes. Then you do it when you know that the kids are nowhere near it. That was me when I started. I had dirty jokes, like my mouth. It wasn't that the joke was dirty. My mouth was dirty. So I was raised, I never cursed in front of my mother at all, ever. So when my mom said, oh, my God, we heard you doing comedy. We want to come see you. I'm like, no. She was like, you can't stop me. I'll pay my money. I'm like, I can stop me. If you come there, I'm not going up. I can stop me. I'm in control of me now.
Well, Larry. So please tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get their It's Just Comedy paraphernalia, yes. And just to be able to go to some of the
look at my towels, huh? Look at my towels.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Look at my towels. So I have towels now. I have coffee mugs. I have
coffee
party cups. I got hoodies. I got the T-shirt. It's Just Comedy. I got different colors. I mean, we stacked up because during this thing, merch just jumped off the shelf. You can always order some stuff on all my social media inboxes. You can email me, talent@itsjustcomedy.com. Just spelled correctly. Talent@itsjustcomedy.com. On IG, Talent the Comedian. I'm on Twitter, It's Just Comedy. And I'm on Facebook, King Talent Harris. Anyway, whatever you need. And I'm on social media every day. Yes. Doing something. Like today is Monday, so I do motivational Mondays. I do Enough is Enough, political community show at 8:30. I do, like, in about 1 hour, I'll be on with my motivational Mondays, and it'll replay on WIMS Radio, internet radio, WIMS.com at 6 o'clock. So Monday's like busy. Yes. I do a sports show, the box seats at 1 o'clock. Oh. So I'm gonna be in this room until 2 o'clock before I can go see my family and stuff. But yeah, man, I just love what I do. And like you, I'm a big fan of us. I love people and I love us. The biggest thing about Black folks, if I have to single out Black folks that I love, is nobody laughs and loves as hard as us.
Nope. I love that. Thank you so much for your time and your talent. I'm so glad I got to spend this time with you, and I can't wait to see you again on stage. Whenever you come in town, Nadine, be like, Talent doing the show. I'm like, oh, I'm coming with you. Bring me with you.
I can't wait till you do comedy, because you know what happens when you start doing comedy, you automatically become naked.
I told you I got a whole bunch of jokes written down, and they just all dirty. And I'm like, you can't go up on those stages. I be laughing at myself just at some of my own jokes, but they might not be funny. So maybe I'll have to bomb to understand that, but I'm going to do it. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for tuning in. You know, I love y'all. Remember what I tell you at the end of all my broadcasts. You deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it.